Hey, what's up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel, Just Simply Sports here with me. I am Kaja. If you're new here, I welcome you. Please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're not new, you've been here. As I always say, I appreciate you. This is my little part, more like a circle, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's all love at the end of the day, and that's just what I'm trying to tell you guys. Who you guys? SOS, please. Someone help. Someone help the Warriors because, gosh, what is going on in the Bay? What's going on in the Bay? They are out here looking crazy in these basketball streets, you guys. I don't know what's going on for the life of me. I cannot figure out how they started off 12-3. They started off so hot, you guys. And I know it's the beginning of the season, and obviously things, they start off good, they go bad, they start off bad, they go good. I get that, right? But you cannot convince me that losing DeAnthony Melton to, the season in the injury has caused this team to just go all the way into the water. He hadn't been there for that long. I mean, he wasn't like Steph or something, I'm just like, how does this franchise just go down, 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 down? You know what I mean? Who you guys? I'm watching the Warriors play yesterday, and I'm like, they are going back and forth with the Raptors team that until last night had only won 8 games. They beat the Warriors last night by 3 points. So now they've won 9 games and lost 31. And I'm thinking to myself, excuse me, you guys. I'm watching the score, going back and forth, back and forth. I'm like, this game is too close for comfort for me. You know what I mean? Like, there needs to be at some point a clear separation. And the Warriors could not find separation. Now, I know they don't have the Rook. I say the Rook, but, Brandon Pajemski, he's out. Something with his abdomen. He's been out for a few weeks now. Kaminga, is not there. Draymond's out with the illness. I get you missing some key people, but there were times in the beginning of the season where his minutes were like limited because they didn't need him, didn't have to overexert him because they had so much offensive power and they were just doing so well. They didn't have to overuse Steph. So I'm like, by that same logic, Steve Kerr was like mixing and matching, different people coming in. He was playing about 12 different people, this one, that one, that one, this one. And whatever it was then, it was working. I don't know what the heck happened, but it is not working now. So after an embarrassing loss to a team that's like at the bottom of the bottom, Steph spoke out. And he has some interesting comments. So I'm going to play this clip for you guys.
Desperate trades or desperate, moves that deplete the future. Like, there is a responsibility on allowing, or keeping the franchise when it, in a good space and good spot when it comes to where we leave this thing when we're done. You want to continue to get better. Nobody wants to be stale or be in a situation where you're passing up opportunities, but it doesn't mean that you're desperate, just flinging assets all around the place just because you want to do something.
You guys, that's why you gotta love Steph, right? What a classy individual. What a classy individual. I love to hear Steph speak sometimes, and I think what separates him from a lot of players, I feel like this new generation of NBA players, as opposed to some of the ones who were older, even some of the ones who have retired, just using Steph as an example. Steph to me comes across as one of the most selfless people, even on the court. He's gonna do what he does, but even in the moments where he's not playing, he's on the bench, where he's injured, he's on the sideline supporting the team. Like, he's always happy, for his teammates. And to hear him speak about the future of the franchise after he leaves, and there being a responsibility to make sure that the team and the organization is left in a good place, even after he retires, I think just really speaks to his high character, the caliber of integrity that he has as a man, as a person, and why he is so successful. I feel like a lot of the younger players seem to be entitled. Feel like they're owed something. And I think that's what separates this older generation of basketball players as opposed to some of the younger ones.
He's preaching. I'm with that, Brian Windhorst. Never make moves, never make decisions from a desperate, desolate place. Wendy, great to have you with us here. Obviously, the trade deadline is less than a month away. Do you agree with what Steph said?
I got to tell you, Molly, this was one of the more interesting interviews of this entire NBA season. And I know it happened on a cold night in Toronto after a game that the Warriors lost to a bad team. But it was really, really relevant. What Steph Curry is basically saying there is the Warriors shouldn't go all in just because I'm turning 37 in March, just because we started 12-3. We shouldn't take our young players and our first round draft picks and go get a star player now. That's what the Warriors basically were trying to do all last summer and fall. And in theory, we're still trying to do during this season. He was basically saying, I'm not quitting, but if the front office wants to punt, I get it. He even wants to so far as to say, and I don't think I've ever heard this from a star player. We got to worry about where the franchise is after we're gone. This is like the anti-LeBron. LeBron is the guy trade all the draft picks 7 years into the future. I don't care about 2031. It was I would almost, I don't know what Steph's conversations have been with the front office, but I would guess that this sentiment has been explained to the front office. And I'm going to go out there and make some calls today and try to get a feel of where the Warriors are. I'm now wondering if the Warriors make a trade, that it's not to dump money off of their roster and get out of the luxury tax, because there's their franchise players saying, don't be desperate.
They brought Buddy in to be the younger, I guess, like Wendy said, the prime Klay Thompson. And coming into the season, I'm like, okay, Buddy looks great. Why would they get rid of Buddy? Why would they trade him? Then I said, the season went on. That is it. Consistency, you guys. Consistency. He is not consistent. And I can see why they gave him up now. Whenever someone's willing to trade a player, you got to ask yourself, why? Why is it? And Buddy's not consistent. When Buddy's good, Buddy is good. He's knocking down threes. But outside of knocking down a three, I don't really see much else that he has to offer. And for me, that's something that where he differs from Klay, because even Klay back in the day can give you some defense. He could play some defense now back in the day. That wasn't obviously what he was known for, but he damn sure could play defense if he wanted to, if he needed to. And I'm looking at Buddy's numbers as of the past 2 months. More times than not, I know because I was betting on him, but I've been stopped because he was messing up my parlay, you guys. If you want FanDuel, you got tips in the comments. But he was messing up my parlay. I'm like, Buddy, like, how is it you were averaging 20, 21 points, 25 points, something like that, knocking down 4 or 5 threes a game. And now you're lucky if he hits like 2 or 3 consistently. More times than not, he's like 11 points or less. He's not really there for rebound. He's not really good with the rebounds. He's not there for the assists. I mean, Steph offers more rebounds and assists than he does on top of the shooting. So I'm just like, at this point, you need to spend more time on the bench. Let some of the younger ones come in. Santos, Waters, Anderson, he might be, he might not shoot as much and he can still shoot, but at least he can give you some more rebounds. He can give you some assists. I mean, something, there needs to be something done differently here. I love Coach Kerr. I think he's one hell of a coach, one of the winningest coaches in the NBA. But sometimes, like I just said, change is needed. And maybe it is time that Steve Kerr move on to a different team or retire and they get a different coach in there, because he's been with this franchise for so long, he's been with Steph so long, he's been with Draymond for so long. When you've been with a franchise for so long and you know players inside and out, I feel like it's kind of hard to see something new because you have blinders on to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, I know what works. We did this before, we did that before. Usually it works. Give them time to figure it out, so on and so forth. I know my team, I know how they are. But sometimes you bring somebody else new in to look at it from a different angle, different perspective, and they might see something that Coach Kerr doesn't see. Hey, maybe if we tried this person with Steph, that person with Draymond, and so on and so forth, this person with Kuminga, it might bring out something different that they don't currently have right now, on the floor. There needs to be some sort of spark, you know what I mean? I do agree that maybe trading is not the way to go because they brought in Dennis, and Dennis doesn't look the way he did in Brooklyn, and he's still trying to find his way and his rhythm within his offense and this system and how it works and how he fits in. If you keep switching players and trading players and this one and that one, you're not helping yourself, right? Because it takes time to get acclimated with a new team, new coach, and everything like that, But something needs to be done. And I applaud Steph for thinking about the organization, the franchise, and not throwing the young ones under the bus and saying, yeah, get somebody else in here. A lot of times we see a lot of franchises do that. You know what I mean? We see 76ers, they brought in Paul George, to go with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George hasn't really been healthy. He's been there, he hasn't been there. And, some nights he's great, some nights he's not so great. So sometimes you try to bring these big players, you know what I mean? Because, you go by their history and what they're known for. But then once again, you're back in the same boat when it doesn't work out, like that big three in Phoenix, the Suns, they look great, when KD is there. KD is a difference maker. When KD's not there, they lose more than they win. And then when KD is there and Devin Booker's there and Bradley Beal is playing, they haven't quite figured out how to work within the three of them together. You know what I mean? So you see Devin Booker, his points have gone down. KD's are always going to be KD's, but I see Bradley Beal as of lately have gone up. So it's always a weird dynamic when you bring bigger players in because, like Bradley Beal said, like I don't come off the bench. Respectfully, you know what I mean? Like that's not what I do, And then I'm not saying he has ego, but then some players do have ego, like bench. Like, what you mean? Like, that's not what I do. Like, I'm a starter. You know what I mean? Like, I don't come off the bench. Like, that was years ago. You know what I mean? Again, respectfully, So it's just interesting sometimes, and I think that. And again, it's just my opinion as a fan of watching the game. I feel like sometimes you can go further having one or two stars and a lot of role players who are fine starring in their role. And they don't care about being the face of a franchise. They don't really care about having 25, 35, 40 minutes. They're okay with their 15 minutes, their paycheck coming in their account every Tuesday, whenever it comes in a deposit, and being impactful in a way that helps their team win. I feel like when you have players like that, you'll find yourself always in a fight. If Steve Kerr would just commit to a starting lineup, commit to off the bench, and everybody else fills in, maybe they can get someplace because there's a lot of switching that seems to be happening and it's not working. It's really, really not working to the best of what this franchise has to offer. You know what I mean? They have a lot of talent on that roster. They have a lot of guards, a lot of shooting power. And for whatever reason, it was working in the beginning. It is not working now. So something has shifted. I'm not sure what that shift is. But you guys let me know in the comments what you think that shift is and how they can fix it and save this season. You don't want to waste Steph's good talents either, right? He's 37. They always put on people's ages. Like, we get it. He's in his 30s, right? Like, well, LeBron's like 40-year-old LeBron. He's 40. He's 40. Like, we get it. He's older. We get it. We know, But we know Steph has turned 37, I believe, in March, something like that. But you don't want to waste his good years either, right? He's still better and more well conditioned than half of these young players in the league, in my humble and personal opinion. So you don't want to just waste that, for the sake of not trying to be desperate. You don't want to be desperate, but I do believe that you want to be smart, and you want to be tactful about how you do things. You don't want to be wasteful either. You don't want to waste Steph's good years. You know what I mean? Because real talk, when Steph leaves this organization, if it's not built the right way, for the future, they're going to be like 15. 15th in the freaking Western Conference. What do you guys think though about the Warriors? Let me know in those comments, and I will see you in the next video.